Full-level boss dressed as a peasant girl. Chapter 1, Be Obliterated. Chapter 1 was obliterated. Wow, woof. 4-year-old Xiao Shuyu was lying on the ground with a thin body, all fours on the ground, obviously trembling with fear, but still bluffing and barking at the dog in front of him, trying to scare it away. The dog was not big, and after barking back a few times, Xiao Shuyu squeezed the stone in his hand and threw it away. The dog wobbled, turned and ran away. Xiao Shuyu let out a long sigh of relief, quickly picked up the steamed buns on the ground, patted the stains on it, touched his grumbling stomach, and devoured it. Didn't take 2 bites, but a scolding sound suddenly came from his ear. "Shuyu, what are you doing?" When Xiao Shuyu turned around, she saw her own mother, concubine Shui, with a heavy face, strode over, and slapped the steamed bun in her hand. The steamed buns, which were not too big, rolled to the ground, and fell into the cracks with 2 clucks, and could no longer be seen. Xiao Shuyu swallowed her saliva, looked away reluctantly, and stood up staggeringly. "Auntie, I." Crack. Concubine Shui slapped her face and slapped the little figure out. "You are the 3rd young lady of the Shu family, and you are fighting with dogs for food here. Do you still have any sense of shame? Is it shameful?" Xiao Shuyu wiped her nosebleed and whispered, "I'm hungry." She hadn't eaten for 2 days. "You are still hungry. If you hadn't soiled my clothes, would I have been laughed at by other aunties? This is a lesson for you. You can't help being hungry. What's the use of you?" Xiao Shuyu couldn't hold back her tears. She hurried forward, grabbed Aunt Shui's sleeve, and said eagerly and cautiously, "It's my fault, I'm sorry auntie, it's Shuyu who is ignorant and doesn't eat it. I won't eat it again, auntie, don't be angry. Look at your hand, it's still bloody, my skirt was soiled by you again, get out." Concubine Shui pushed the person away with a look of disgust on her face. Xiao Shuyu took 2 steps back and fell to the ground. Concubine Shui explained to the maid next to her, "Lock her up in a small dark room and starve for 2 more days. I really don't know how to repent." Xiao Shuyu's tears finally fell, and her small body was lifted up by the maid and sent directly to the little black room. Xiao Shuyu huddled in the corner, hugging her knees and crying silently. Her clothes were dyed bright red with nosebleeds. "Auntie, I was wrong, I don't dare anymore, I'm sorry. Please let me out, okay? It's so dark here, and there are bugs that will bite my hand, I'm so scared, I'm not hungry anymore, really not hungry at all." Xiao Shuyu wiped her tears, and when she lowered her head, she saw a snake came in at some point, standing half up and spitting out letters at her. Xiao Shuyu's breathing stopped, her eyes widened and she began to tremble. The snake seemed to sense something, suddenly jumped up and rushed towards her. "What?" Shuyu suddenly woke up from the bed. Seeing the dim yellow light flickering next to the bed, she slowly exhaled. Clutching his chest, thinking of the dream he had just now, he couldn't help but sigh. Is not a dream, this is the memory of this body when it was a child. Shuyu came from a book in modern times. A year ago, it was worn on the body of the 14-year-old Miss Shu San, the prefect of Dong'an Prefecture in Desu Chao. For this reason, her original memory of the original owner is not very complete, and she will slowly recall it intermittently in this form. She didn't know where the original owner went, whether he died completely, or had another chance. But Shu Yu is very clear about the ending of this book. As the 3rd concubine of the Shu family, she has a low sense of existence in the book and has nothing to do with the hero and heroine. However, the dead woman in the book is the eldest young lady of the Shu family, her current sister-in-law. Sister-in-law likes the male protagonist, but she has lost the entire Shu family. In 3 months, the entire Shu family will be exiled for thousands of miles. As a character who has not played many times, she is also one of them. Knowing the ending, Shu Yu is naturally unwilling to follow the ending in the book, and even if she is not valued in this family, she is unwilling to be exiled to the frontier. It's just that she soon discovered that even if she changed the course, a strong plot would still pull the ending back. After she tried twice, she stopped doing futile efforts. Anyway, for the ending of the Shu family, the book only writes about exile. The life after exile was not mentioned in the book, whether it was good or bad, it was she who had the final say. Since then, Shu Yu has been quietly in front of the third transparent lady of the Shu family. In the last life, Shu Yu's parents were harmed by a certain organization because of their research results. Shu Yu endured humiliation and burden for more than 10 years. Beside the boss, he became one of his indispensable confidants. Then, by his own power, he destroyed all the huge organization and avenged the tragic death of his parents. But who knew that the other party left a hand, and she also lost her life and became the third Miss Shu family today. Compared to her previous life, where she was calculating and walking on thin ice, today's life is actually pretty good. She eats, drinks, sleeps and sleeps. Although there are occasional fights, she is so transparent that she is unlikely to harm her. At least she doesn't need to worry about her life. As for that mother, concubine Shui, Shu Yu and she did not see each other and ignored each other. There are still 3 months left. After 3 months, she will be able to leave the plot and find a way to cut off relations with the Shu family. Shu Yu had a nightmare, was very thirsty, got out of bed and prepared to pour a glass of water. Who knew that as soon as he landed on the ground, a hissing sound suddenly came from his ears. She turned around suddenly and saw a snake swimming towards her. Holy shit, the nightmare actually came true. Shu Yu's face changed slightly, he stretched out his hand to grab the snake 7 inches, and slammed it towards the ground, smashing its head flat in an instant. The snake twisted twice, then stopped. Shu Yu frowned, how could a poisonous snake swim into her room? At this moment, there was a sound of footsteps outside, and the door was slammed open with a bang. Shu Yu subconsciously pulled the clothes on the side and put them on, then frowned and looked at the 2 old women who broke in. What are you going to do at night? The 2 old ladies walked across the inner room to her facelessly, and said indifferently, Miss San, the old lady is looking for you, come with us. Shu Yu frowned, intuition that something happened, the grandmother asked her to tell her, but the 2 old women broke into her room directly. Also, is that snake related to them? She stood up cautiously, nodded and followed the 2 old ladies out. The 3 of them walked from the yard through the back garden, and didn't meet a single one along the way. Even if it's night, it shouldn't be so quiet. They quickly walked to the lotus pond in the backyard of Shu Mansion. They said it was a lotus pond. In fact, there were only a few scattered lotus leaves in it. The old lady of Shu Mansion was standing by the pool, not only her, but also the eldest master of Shu Mansion, the second master and several young masters and young ladies. Such a big battle. Shu Yu was pushed in front of the old lady, and the old lady who was looking at her kind-hearted yesterday was full of disgust at this time. As if Shu Yu was something dirty, she even took a slight step back, then waved her hand, pointed to the lotus pond and said to the 2 women, push her down. The new article has been opened, I hope the little cuties will support and love you. End of this chapter. Full-level boss dressed as a peasant girl. Chapter 2, she is not the daughter of the Shu family. Chapter 2, she is not the daughter of the Shu family. Push down. Lotus pond. Shu Yu immediately took a step to the side and frowned, wait, are you trying to kill me? Why? Her gaze swept across several people present, including her father and siblings, but no one stood up to speak at this time. The old lady didn't even want to look at her, but the woman in charge beside her said coldly, Miss San. Oh, no, you are no longer the third lady of the Shu family. You are just a stranger. It's just a wild seed. When Aunt Shui bought the doctor and pretended to be pregnant, she bought a baby from outside on the day of delivery and came back to pretend to be the third miss of the Shu family, and that baby is you. Shu Yu frowned, a rare trace of surprise on his face. She is not the daughter of the Shu family. But the book doesn't mention this at all. Could it be because of her arrival that there was a butterfly effect? Shu Yu was puzzled, and the old lady beside the old lady spoke again, you have also enjoyed 14 years of gold and jade in the Shu family. Now that things have been exposed, it is natural to put things right. Shu Yu raised his head abruptly, what are you talking about to set things right? Are you pushing me down the lotus pond to drown? The old lady finally said, the Shu family can't allow a stain like yours to exist. Shu Yu. There is a saying in my heart that MMP doesn't know whether to say it or not. So, the snake in my room just now was your means. The eldest lady of the Shu family snorted coldly, actually, you were bitten to death by a snake, but you don't have that much pain. Shu Yu looked at the others, and everyone felt that the old lady's decision was right, and the Shu family's face was more important than anything else. What's more, she was such a wild species that she didn't know where she came from, and she was gone when she died, and no one cared. Shu Yu now understands why the Shu family ended up in exile. I'm afraid that the female partner is on the way to death, and they will inevitably help them. The two old women have come over, holding two ropes to tie Shu Yu's hands. Shu Yu subconsciously wanted to start, but after a second thought, he didn't move again. Now she can't change the ending, the Shu family will wait until they are exiled 3 months later, so she doesn't need to waste her energy. 3 months later. Then there will be revenge, and there will be revenge. But she couldn't do it so calmly to die. Shu Yu laughed suddenly, and her eyes swept across everyone present. You want to kill me, yes. But before dying, can you let me say a few words? Do you still have your last words? Miss Shu sneered, I'll give you a chance to see what you can say. Shu Yu's hands were tied behind her back, but the look of her head bowed like a transparent person in the past was completely gone, and everyone even felt that her stature was unreasonably tall. Shu Yu's eyes stopped on the person on the far left. Uncle Shu, the outer room of Jin Taixiang is beautiful, right? She was pregnant again recently, and it is said that she was sold by the eldest lady, but when you turn around, you will kill her. It was true love when I got it back. The Shu family's eldest master widened his eyes, facing the unbelievable gaze of the eldest lady, and immediately explained. However, Shu Yu followed closely and said, Madam, my nephew killed the second wife again. Are you discussing with your aunt recently about marrying your second sister, who is also a concubine? It can not only solve the problem of confidence, but also I can give my mother an account. Second Master Shu, the old lady helped you pay the money owed to the casino, although she used her own money. But if you continue to gamble, you will need to use Gongzhong's money. Second Madam, you gave concubine Lu medicine to make her slip, and it hurt Eerie Shu's heart a lot. It's no wonder that he borrowed wine to drown his sorrows and went to the casino to gamble for money. Big sister, you. Shut up, I'll tell you to shut up. The old lady leaned on crutches fiercely. Seeing that the expressions of the people who were mentioned by her name changed, she immediately winked at the two old women behind her. Not yet. Do it? Shu Yu is a pity, didn't you ask me to explain my dying words clearly? When the Shu family was exiled, they found more than that. These things were written in the book. You're all talking nonsense. I really underestimate you. I've been mute on weekdays, and when I'm dying, I'm still trying to sow discord and try to destroy the harmony of my Shu family. It's absolutely disgusting. With a calm expression on his face, he beat the ground angrily. The rest of the Shu family also agreed, and the two old ladies didn't dare to delay any longer. They tied a big rock to Shu Yu's ankle, and hurriedly pushed her down the lotus pond. Seeing Shu Yu's body sinking to the bottom of the pool, the old lady breathed a sigh of relief. But what she didn't know was that when Shu Yu was sinking, he had already untied the rope on his wrist, and when he reached the bottom of the pool, the rope and stone on his ankle were also freed. She dived forward, and under a lotus leaf, she silently stuck out half of her head. The few people on the shore had not left yet, as if they were sure that she would not come up. The old lady instructed the two wives, tomorrow night, if you bring people up again, say that the third lady went out at night to enjoy the shade, fell into the water and lost her life. Yes. The two women hurriedly responded. The old lady said to the eldest master of the Shu family, go back and dealt with Aunt Shui, and declared to the public that Aunt Shui couldn't bear the pain of losing her daughter and died in depression. The eldest master also responded, and there was no objection. But Shu Yu remembered that in the book, Auntie Shui was not dead, and she was also on the list of being exiled. I don't know how she avoided this disaster this time. Just like this, Shu Yu understood why Aunt Shui was so cruel to her biological daughter in the first place. Xiao Shu not only starved and fought with the dog for food, but was left in a room to fend for himself with a high fever, knelt in the yard under the scorching sun and confessed his mistake until he fainted, and was almost beaten to death by concubine Shui. Everyone in the Shu family thought that concubine Shui was dissatisfied with Shu Yu being a girl, so she was angry and not very close to her. End of this chapter. Full-level boss dressed as a peasant girl. Chapter 3, Personnel. Chapter 3, Personnel. Xiao Shuyu thought so before. She wanted to be recognized by her mother, so she worked hard and was obedient, and was careful not to cry or make trouble. However, it was of no use. Concubine Xue would only hate her more and more. It would be nothing more than beating or scolding her. Words of humiliation were even more hurtful. Now, everything is explained. Shuyu saw that the Shu family had all gone, and then quietly swam to the shore and came up from the lotus pond. Fortunately, the old lady didn't want to make this a big deal, so she had already sent the servants back, and she didn't meet anyone along the way. But because of what she said earlier, the lights in their courtyard never went out, and occasionally there were a few quarrels, and it seemed that the old lady fainted. Shuyu smiled, went back to his yard, found clean clothes to change into, packed up a few inconspicuous things, and then dug out the door of Shu's house familiarly. The sky is already slightly bright now, and there are a few pedestrians on the road. The city gate of Dong'an House will open in a quarter of an hour, and Shuyu intends to leave the city. The Shu family can't find her body tonight, and they will definitely find someone secretly to find her. But now the Shu family can't take care of themselves. The words she said last night were enough to make the Shu family mess up for a while. Shuyu was about to set off when he saw a Taoist nun standing not far away. The Taoist nun looked familiar, as if she was dressed in Dongqingguan outside the city. Shuyu was surprised that the Taoist nun had already stepped forward and handed her a box. "Donor, this is what Guanzhu asked Pindao to hand over to you. Master Dongqing." A year ago, when Shuyu followed the Shu family to pray for incense in this Dongqing temple, she accidentally fell off the cliff, and the soul in her body was replaced by her. For this reason, she came back after recuperating in Dongqingguan for more than half a month. During the period of recuperation, he got acquainted with the master of Dongqing temple. Shuyu saw that this spectator was not an ordinary person, and he had some skills, especially in fortune-telling, which was very effective. Shuyu was very interested, and followed her for half a month to learn to observe words and expressions, and secretly called Master a few times. Taoist nun nodded and said, "Master has gone on a tour." Before leaving, he told the poor Taoist to wait here. If he sees the donor going out, he will give this box to the donor. Shuyu was very strange. He opened the box, there was a letter in it, and a guide to the household registration. How did Master know she could use this? Shuyu hurriedly opened the letter, and the handwriting of Dongqing Guanzhu appeared on the paper. "Ayu, by the time you read this letter, Master has already left. Go and find your biological parents. If you don't pay off some debts, it will be hard for you to carry them on your back. This is the address of your parents. And your name, take care." Shuyu's pupils shrank. She only knew last night that she was not the daughter of the Shu family, but the master even knew where her biological parents lived. Looking at the fortune-telling, is it really accurate to this point? Shuyu felt that something was wrong. She put the letter away, and asked the little Taoist nun in front of her, "What else did you say before the Guanzhu left?" Master said, "If the donor has any doubts, go to the address on the letter to find out." The little Taoist paused, then suddenly raised her eyes and glanced at her. Her voice was much quieter. "Master also said that the Shu family will know about you. The identity of her is also revealed by her. In fact, Pindao has been waiting for you here for 2 days." Shuyu. People clerk. Is there anything you can't tell her first? What is the news to the Shu family? Shuyu had a sullen face, closed the box with a pop, turned his head and left. End of this chapter. Full-level boss dressed as a peasant girl. Chapter 4, Go to Shangshi village. Chapter 4, Go to Shangshi village. Shuyu went out of the city gate and took out the letter in the box. The address of her biological parents is written on it, Shangshi village, Wenlan town, Jiangyuan county, Dong'an prefecture. Shangshi village, Wenlan township, she did not know, but Jiangyuan county did. Can be regarded as the farthest county town in the entire Dong'an prefecture, and it is also the poorest county town. Shuyu snorted lightly. She didn't want to recognize her relatives. Now that she has left the Shu family, the land is so big that day, where can she not go? Why bother to bind with irrelevant people? She has nothing to worry about in this world. As soon as she closed the box, she decided to go in any direction. I only took a few steps, but what the Taoist nun said flashed in my mind: if you have any doubts, go to the address on the letter to find out. Doubt, of course she does. For example, why does Master know about her life experience, and where do you start when you talk about debts? Also, what is the Master thinking? These questions can't be answered. If she still can't change her fate of being exiled after 3 months, won't she be able to solve the puzzle forever? Shu Yu is not a procrastinator. Since she wants to know, then, go and have a look. She doesn't want to be confused and don't know anything. There is a little more money in Shu Yu's hand, which she earned while going out this year when the Shu family was not paying attention. Was only limited by her identity, time, place and other reasons. She was fooling around. No, she didn't earn much. At the beginning, it was planned that after being exiled to the destination, he also had the capital to live a good life. Originally, I wanted to take advantage of the last 3 months and save more. Who knew that she would not be a child of the Shu family? She was worried that when she was in exile, her house would be raided and could not be brought out, so she hid the money outside the house. She has just taken out the banknotes. It's just 60 taels. It's really miserable. Shu Yu sympathized with himself for 2 seconds, then rented a carriage and headed straight to Jianyuan County. It took a day to get there, and after arriving at the county seat, Shu Yu gave the fare and let the driver go. She strolled around the county town. Although it had been a year since she came to this world, she spent most of the time in the Shu residence, and the rest was just a walk around the county town. The farthest place she went was Dongqingguan. Although Jianyuan County is poor, it is very lively. Shu Yu was here, and he felt a rare calming tranquility. Seeing that it was getting late, Shu Yu found an ox cart passing through Shangshi village at the gate of the city. Just as he was about to sit up, he saw other villagers on the bullock cart. In front of most people are big and small baskets, occupying a bit more space. On the contrary, she was carrying only a small bag by herself. Everyone else felt weird when they saw her, and they all looked at her and whispered. Shu Yu tipped his ears and heard a few words vaguely. Where did this girl come from, and she doesn't seem to be short of money, so why is she still squeezing an ox cart with us? Shu Yu looked at herself. She had changed into a light and simple dress. But he still seemed out of place with the women in front of him. Shu Yu hesitated for a while, but got out of the bullock cart and said to the old man who was driving the car, "Master, can you wait for me for half a quarter of an hour?" "Okay, we'll leave at 4 o'clock when we apply." 4 o'clock in the Shenxi, there is still nearly a quarter of an hour, and it's too late. Shu Yu turned around and walked into the county town. She didn't want to change her clothes. She saw the things in the women's baskets and wondered if she should buy something too. Shu Yu never thought of recognizing her original biological parents. She didn't know who they were, and she didn't have any feelings for them. It's good to be alone now, so why bother? Besides, she still doesn't know whether she was sold to Shu's house or not because of her biological parents. She went to Shangshi village just to understand her doubts in happiness. Just came to the door rashly, there must be a name for it, carrying a gift over, the other party is not easy to drive her out, she wants to ask something, it can be simpler and more convenient. In the past life, she was able to climb to the position of the confidant of the boss, and these human relationships are still clear. End of this chapter. Full-level boss dressed as a peasant girl. Chapter 5, Liang's. Chapter 5, The Liang Clan. Shu Yu just walked around the neighborhood, and he is already familiar with the surrounding shops. She went into a dim sum shop, bought 2 packets of dim sum, and went to the next stall to cut a piece of meat. Carrying 2 bags, when he returned to the side of the bullock cart, there was no more or less, exactly half a quarter of an hour. Shu Yu got on the ox cart again and found that there was a woman in the cart. The ox cart, more crowded. That's all, who made the carriage unwilling to take the road of Dashi village at this time. After all, the carriages all set off from the county seat. After they sent her to the destination, they had to come back, and the city gate was closed by then. The ox cart is owned by the old man in the village. They are both sending people and returning home. Not long after Shu Yu got in the car, the old man driving was ready to set off. At this moment, another woman ran over, sweating profusely, Uncle Hu, etc. The old man looked at the person coming, and his brows furrowed sharply. Shu Yu could see that he wanted to throw the whip and leave immediately, but the woman ran faster and was clinging to the edge of the car. Uncle Hu sighed helplessly and said to her, "Lord Lu, my bullock cart has no place." When Mr. Liang heard this, his eyes widened. "There's no place." "Uncle Hu, you're wrong. When we came over in the morning, we agreed to let you leave a place for me, and I'll go back in your bullock cart." Uncle Hu couldn't believe it. "You clearly said that you won't go back in my car." "Nonsense, I carry so many things on my back and walk back to Shangshi village on my own 2 legs. I must not die of exhaustion." "Uncle Hu, are you listening wrong?" Mr. Liang pointed to the bamboo basket on his back, not very happy. "You." Uncle Hu was so angry that he was almost speechless. Shu Yu couldn't help but glance at Mrs. Liang. "Is this person from Shangshi village?" Mr. Liang pointed at Uncle Hu and said, "You didn't do this. I clearly agreed to take your car back, but you dragged one more person. What should I do now? It's so late, and I can't find anything else." "The bullock cart." Shu Yu looked at her, and then at the other people on the bullock cart. "It seems that these women should all come out with Uncle Hu in the morning, and she is the new one." Dora was referring to the one person Liang was referring to, right? Shu Yu didn't want to continue to be entangled in the bullock cart, so he raised a finger to himself and said, "How about I get off? Thinking about it now, it seems more convenient to go tomorrow." Who knew that Uncle Hu hadn't spoken yet, but Mrs. Liang waved his hand and said righteously, "No, it's none of your business. This is a problem between Uncle Hu and me, you just sit." Shu Yu. This answer was really unexpected to her. Uncle Hu was obviously not good at words. Seeing that the neighbors sitting on the ox cart were impatient, he became impatient and stared at Mrs. Liang. "Then what do you want? You're all full, what else can I do? Is it possible that I'm squeezed in front of you?" Everyone else burst into laughter. Uncle Hu's face became even more red, and he heard Liang continue to say, "Forget it, I don't care about you, I can walk back. But my basket is too heavy, I can't carry it. This way, you can take the basket back for me, and send it to my man at my house, okay?" What can Uncle Hu say? People can't sit down, and there is no problem with the basket tied to the side. He nodded, "Okay. Let's talk about it first. It's you who did it improperly, and I won't pay the toll." Then she looked at the other women on the ox cart. "I remember all of your appearances, I put them in the basket. If anything is missing, I will come to the door one by one." End of this chapter. Full-level boss dressed as a peasant girl. Chapter 6, Shu Yu da Luer Bai. Chapter 6 Shu Yu Dad Luer Bai. Was finally able to go. Uncle Hu tied the basket and couldn't wait to drive the ox cart. On the way, Shu Yu heard the most about the Liang family. The folks in this village, even if they are not from the same village, seem to know the Liang family quite well. Because Mrs. Liang said she lived in Shangshi village, Shu Yu couldn't help but be a little more concerned. "It's been quiet all the time, but I listened with my ears up. It's just that these people rarely mentioned Shangshi village, and most of them said that Liang's family was stingy, shameless. Not only the Liang family, but also the third son of his family, Lu. The husband and wife are both from the same road, so the only son is also provided crookedly. On weekdays, it is not a problem to bully other children in the village, and even his own relatives are all kinds of tricks. Anyway, when they mentioned Lu Laosan and his wife, everyone shook their heads and sighed. While listening to the gossip, the ox cart also arrived at Shangshi village. Several women from the first 2 villages had already got off the carriage, and the ox carriage was much empty. She was the only one who got off the carriage in Shangshi village. Shu Yu was about to come down when he saw a man squatting at the entrance of the village. Uncle Hu called him angrily, "Lord Lu." Lu Laosan held a piece of grass in his mouth. Hearing the words, he ran over quickly. He ran to his own basket to look at it. He stretched out his fingers to count the same number. "Went home by myself." Uncle Hu made a "ba" at his back. Who knew that Lu Lao Sen immediately turned his head and glared at him fiercely. What do you want to do? Uncle, who was obviously a little afraid of him, so he got on the bullock cart and ran away. Then the third child also ran away quickly. Shu Yu. You guys, it's pretty funny. Shu Yu originally wanted to ask Lu San for directions, but now no one else is in sight, so he can only carry snacks and meat by himself and walk towards the village. There are no people at the intersection at the moment, but there are a bunch of children playing there. Shu Yu walked towards them, waved at them, and asked, "Can I ask you something?" The kid who was playing around stopped instantly and looked at her up and down curiously. Immediately, her eyes fell on the snacks and pork she was holding, and she swallowed hard. Shu Yu instantly felt that the thing in her hand was heavy. She took out a few candies from her sleeve and handed them forward. Whoever answers my question will give this candy. Candy is a handful of caramel that I bought at the dim sum shop just now, just for convenience at this time. Sure enough, as soon as she finished speaking, several children jumped up and down. I'll answer, I know everything, you can ask anything. You fart, you know a fart, I just know, I'm the boss. Shu Yu quickly raised his hand and said, then who can tell me where is Lu Erbai's house in Shangshi village? Road Erbai. Several children looked at each other. The adult's name was still unfamiliar to them. Fortunately, the names of several adults in the Lu family were easier to remember than others, and immediately an older child called out, I know. Shu Yu looked at him. The child immediately stretched out his hand and pointed it not far away. Lu Erbai is that ugly father. Shu Yu frowned, and when he raised his eyes, he saw a little girl walking slowly not far away. Looking at her young age, there was a large back basket with pigweed on it, and walking was very difficult. End of this chapter. Full-level boss dressed as a peasant girl. Chapter 7, My sister is called ugly. Chapter 7, Sister is called ugly. The clothes that the child was wearing were covered with patches, short and small, with exposed wrists and ankles. The clothes were very dirty, probably from a fall, and their hair was messy. Several children had already rushed towards her, screaming and jumping around her. Ugly, slaughtering hogweed, pitiful, no food, falling, broken face, no one wants when you grow up. Ha 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 ha. The little girl was surrounded by them, unable to advance or retreat. She lowered her head and gritted her teeth so that she could not let herself cry. She covered her face with her hands, and stood there at a loss. In a panic, he stumbled on his left foot and fell to the ground again. The children burst into laughter. Look at her falling down every day. My mother said that she has bad legs and feet, like her father, and will become lame in the future. The little girl finally couldn't help crying, but her voice was low. The next moment, he quickly got up again, and hurriedly put the pig grass scattered on the ground back into the back basket. If you don't hurry, they will trample her, and she will be done for nothing today. Tears were still streaming down her face, but the little girl didn't dare to stop her hand. Who knew that she was picking it up, with a pair of white hands in front of her, helping her to gather the hogweed and put it in the back basket. The little girl raised her head blankly and met Shu Yu's gentle eyes. Who is this, good-looking sister, like a fairy? The little girl just noticed that the laughing voice in her ears disappeared for some time. The children who had surrounded her and blocked her path were standing far away at this time, all staring at the scene in front of her. Shu Yu got closer to the little girl now, only to realize that she had a scar on her face. The scar is not very big, but she is too thin and her face is sallow, which makes the scar look extra clear. No wonder those people called her ugly. Probably feeling her gaze, the little girl hurriedly lowered her head and subconsciously pressed her hair down, trying to block the scar. Shu Yu smiled and said, "Don't worry, I accidentally left a scar on my face when I was young, but it will disappear when I grow up." The little girl was stunned. Really? Of course it's true. Do you see my face clean? Shu Yu did have a scar on her face in her previous life. She looks good. Although the organization boss has reached the point of self-cultivation, but when he sees a girl who is interested, he will try his best to get it. Shu Yu is going to take revenge, but he doesn't want to go in this way. It is much more reliable to be a trusted confidant of a boss than a woman who can be discarded at any time. So she slashed her face and ruined her appearance. The big boss saw her appearance that she couldn't take out, and naturally he was not willing to keep her by his side, but Shuyu was very capable. The boss is demanding, and most people really can't meet his work requirements. Shuyu learns everything quickly and does whatever he wants. She can be used by 10 people alone, which is just right, and the boss doesn't like having too many people around. Fortunately, he has retired and does not need to appear in public. Coupled with Shuyu's makeup and hairstyle, the scars on his face can still be covered. It's just that the boss was still brooding about her scar and asked her to go to the hospital to get rid of the scar. However, she was allergic to a certain drug and a scar removal cream, and the scars not only did not shrink, but also had a tendency to rot in his face. The boss is too lazy to care, but Shuyu still has a lot of experience in the ingredients and production of scar removal cream. End of this chapter. Full-level boss dressed as a peasant girl. Chapter 8, Sonya Eat Candy. Chapter 8, Sonya Eats Candy. The scar on the face of the little girl in front of is not big, but she doesn't seem to have dealt with it much. If it is repaired properly, it will be easy to recover. Shuyu helped the person up and asked her, "What's your name? Is your father Lu by?" The little girl nodded, still thinking about what she said in her mind. After a while, he came to his senses and said in a low voice, My name is Sonya. Sonya, can you take me to your house?" Shuyu lifted the basket on the ground. Sonya immediately went to get it. "I'll carry it." "No, I'll take it and walk fast. If nothing else, this is probably my sister." Sonya still wanted to get it, but after looking at her dirty little hands and Shuyu's clean clothes, she still took it back. Shuyu handed a caramel to the child who had just pointed it out to her. As for the others, they were just as bearish as they were, and they didn't have half of it. The kid jumped 3 feet high with joy, and without saying a word, put the caramel into his mouth, and then sighed contentedly, "It's delicious." The other children looked at him enviously, and all of them cast their earnest eyes on Shuyu. Even Sonya's eyes were a little uncontrollable when she saw the caramel in the child's mouth. Shuyu also handed her one. Sonya was stunned, shook her head quickly, and hurried home. I'll take you to my house now." Shuyu smiled. The little girl was quite able to stand the temptation. She followed, and after Sonya walked for a long time, she suddenly remembered to ask, "Sister, what are you doing at my house? Do you know my father?" Her voice was small, as if asking this would make her angry, and after she asked, she hurriedly lowered her head and didn't dare to look at her. Shuyu, holding pig grass in one hand, and snacks and meat in the other, replied, "Your father helped me before, I just found out where he lives, come and see him." Sonya made an "oh," looked up at her again, one of them didn't pay attention, and fell to the ground again. Shuyu frowned, this child fell too easily. There are many reasons for a child to fall. Judging from the appearance of Sonya, it is most likely caused by malnutrition and calcium deficiency. Sonya seemed to be used to it, got up skillfully, and said in a panic, "Yes, I'm sorry." "Why did you apologize to me?" Sonya was stunned. "Yes, why did you apologize?" Probably, she's used to it. On weekdays, the most she says is, "I'm sorry." Shuyu couldn't help thinking of Shuyu when she was a child, and she often apologized to Aunt Shui. In fact, when she saw Sonya just now, she had no doubts about her life experience. Xiao Shuyu is exactly the same as today's Sonya. Back then, she was also unable to eat and wear warm, thin and weak, like a replica of Sonya. Looking at Sonya in front of him, Shuyu couldn't harden his heart. Even if she was really sold by her biological parents when she was a child, it has nothing to do with this little girl. Shuyu put the caramel directly into her mouth. The little girl's eyes widened in disbelief. The sweetness in her mouth made her seem like a dream. She wanted to say something, but Shuyu hurriedly said, "Don't fall out, or it will be a waste." Sonya quickly covered her mouth and stared at her big bulging eyes. After a while, the corners of his eyes slightly arched and his brows revealed joy, so sweet. Shuyu couldn't help but smile. "Let's go, lead the way." End of this chapter. Full-level boss dressed as a peasant girl. Chapter 9, Lujia. Chapter 9, Lu family. Lu's house is a little far from the entrance of the village, behind the village of Shangshi village. Shuyu followed behind Sonya, and when he got to Lu's house, he had already looked at the village almost. Shangshir village is not very big, and the houses are not built regularly, most of them are outdated. Even the village chief's house is just a slightly larger mud house. Arrived at the door of Lu's house, Sonia hurried forward, pushed open the false door and shouted, "Dad, Daddy, I'm back." Shiyu followed behind, and after entering the house, he closed the door with his backhand, and put the basket in his hand on the corner of the yard, and then looked at the small yard in front of him. Is really small, the whole yard is about less than 15 square meters, just like this, it is still full of many things. However, it can be seen that the Lu family members are diligent in clean up. Shiyu crossed the courtyard and entered the main room. Sonia ran over, sweating profusely, and then said in a low voice, "Sister, my father is not at home, he may have gone out." "Anyone in your family?" Sonia shook her head, "They've all gone out to work, sister, can you wait here? They'll be back soon." I'll go get you some water." After speaking, he turned around and ran to the kitchen. After a while, he came over with a bowl with a small opening, placed it on the table in front of her, pushed it towards her, and said softly, "Sister, I washed this bowl again, it is clean, there is no gap here, you will not cut your mouth, you have traveled such a long way, you must be thirsty, you drink it. Even the best bowl of hospitality has been broken, and you can imagine what life has been like here." Looking at the place where the wind leaks and the slightly sloping walls, in Shu Yu's opinion, this house is a dangerous building that will collapse at any time. Shu Yu watched the little girl tugging at her sleeves nervously, as if it was a heinous thing to fill her with water in a broken bowl. She couldn't help but paused, reached out and touched her head, "Thank you." Then he picked up the bowl and drank the water, followed by stunned for a while, then smiled, "This water is very sweet." The little girl was happy, "This is mountain spring water, which my brother brings to the mountain every day." What she didn't say was that she was reluctant to drink it at home on weekdays, but only used it for her father's decoction. Shu Yu was about to inquire about her family's situation, and when she heard the words, she pulled her to the side of the stool and sat down, and asked, "Do you have a brother? Besides your father, you and your brother, who else is in the family?" "And my mother and my milk." "Then, do you have a sister?" Speaking of her elder sister, Sonia felt inexplicably depressed. She nodded slightly, "Eldest sister and second sister, eldest sister got married 2 years ago, second sister." She didn't go on talking, she lowered her head and grabbed her sleeves to rub and rub. Shu Yu could see it, this was her performance when she was uneasy. Is the second sister referring to herself? Does the little girl know about the second sister? Shu Yu wanted to continue asking, but Sonia raised her head and urged her, "Sister, if you don't have enough water, I'll go and pour it for you." She obviously doesn't want to talk about the second sister anymore. Shu Yu didn't force her, and quickly changed the subject, "Since there's no one in your house, why don't you lock the door, what if a thief comes in?" Sonia blinked and shook her head, "We don't have anything in our house. My grandmother said that mice must walk around our house when they pass by." End of this chapter. Full-level boss dressed as a peasant girl. Chapter 10, Father and Daughter Meeting. Chapter 10, Father and Daughter Meeting. Shu Yu didn't know what to say for a while. Although he was indeed quite poor, he wasn't that far. Sonia said, "And my third uncle's house is opposite. My grandmother said that the third uncle squatted at the door every day, so no one walked here on weekdays. Because the third uncle loves to take advantage of the small things, people in the village have to detour when they see him." Shu Yu raised his eyebrows and was talking when there was movement outside. Sonia was overjoyed and slid off the stool, "It must be my dad coming back," she said and ran out. Shu Yu also stood up and walked to the door. Before I got to the door, a woman's voice that seemed to be a bit sharp was heard outside, "I want you to stay at home, but you don't listen, there are me and your wife in the field, why are you going to join in the fun?" "Okay now, it was inconvenient to have legs and feet, and now I have fallen, you don't want your legs, do you? I tell you, I don't have money at home to take you to see a doctor, and then your legs are completely useless. Now, just wait at home and die, I don't care about you." "Mother, I'm sorry, I just feel much better today, I want to help." The man's simple and hoarse voice followed, with a strong apology, "I didn't expect to cause you more trouble." "Help, what help? You've helped me the most by staying at home in peace. I've been in bad luck for 8 lifetimes. How could I give birth to a debt collector like you? The more he came, the more he scolded the more smoothly. You and your wife are really a natural match, a debt collector, a broom star, no one can worry about it. I am a lot of age, and I have to take care of you. Look at us. In the village, who is like us? She scolded raggedly, and Sonia, who ran out to talk, couldn't find a chance to speak. After she finally opened her mouth, the old woman went to Sonia again. Go away, didn't you see your father fell like this? You're still running here and there, blocking the road, such a big man. Well, I don't understand at all. The old woman was very fierce. Sonia was timid. She shrank her neck and said in a low voice, Mother, there are guests at home. After, he ran to hide behind his parents. Guests? What kind of guests? Our family is like this. Your uncle and third uncles don't come, so what kind of guests can you have? The old woman replied subconsciously, and the next moment, as if thinking of something, she slapped it abruptly. Fie, oh, it's not here to collect debts, right? I'll just say why my eyelids keep jumping all the time today. Sanya hurriedly shook her head. No, my sister said she came to thank Dad, not to collect debts. Thank you for what? Your father still has something to be thankful for. Don't you be deceived by someone, you little girl. Where's the person? You brought it in. The old woman glared 3 times as she spoke. Why do you dare to bring anyone home? Then when he looked up, he saw Shu Yu at the door of the main room. Shu Yu and the old woman's eyes met, standing by the door, not knowing whether they should go out or not. The old woman's eyes suddenly became vigilant. She had been supporting Lu Erbai, but now she stood slightly forward, blocking Lu Erbai's body half. Lu Erbai was scolded by her before, so he lowered his head like this, and when Sonia said that a guest was coming, he immediately raised his head and looked at Shu Yu. Shu Yu was stunned after seeing his appearance clearly. End of this chapter.